welcome back to the channel. We got another episode of This Week in Sports. It's that time of week again. Episode 3, week 3. Let's get right into it. Let's have some fun. Here we go.
Well, and a fair ball, a long throw for Hayes. He got him! Gets it off.
Alright, so today on the third week of This Week in Sports, the third episode, the third edition, we cover another great week. There weren't too many breaking stories, not too many big stories, so I only got two main ones that I'm going to cover today. So we should fly through this pretty quick. And why waste any time? Obviously, for their first story, we get into one that everybody knew that we were going to talk about, and that was the early week game, the Monday night game, the Big Daddy, the College Football Playoff Championship. It was a national championship that made college football history, but maybe not in all the best ways, for TCU at least, as it was on Monday, the College Football Playoff National Championship was between the 3-seed TCU and the 1-seed Georgia. We were expecting a high-scoring game, lots of physicality, and we saw that, but maybe for only one team, and that team was Georgia. Bulldogs quarterback Stetson Bennett started the game off with a walk-in rushing touchdown. That would put the Bulldogs up 7-0 just about 3 minutes in. However, on the Horned Frogs, Georgia would then get a field goal. On the Horned Frogs' next possession, Max Duggan would cut the lead back to a one-score game with a rushing touchdown of his own. And little did they know that would be their only score of the game, as it was all Georgia since then. They would score 55 unanswered to take a 65-7 lead. And really the only mistake Georgia made all day was a missed extra point. That's all I can come up with. It was an unbelievable game. Stetson Bennett, what a story he's been. Unbelievable. Everybody's saying he's going to have the keys to Athens. Looking at him, you'd never think that he won 2 national championships at an SEC school in college football. Great story. He had to be taken out of the game in a national championship. Both teams were playing their backups. You don't expect that in a national championship, but when you get such a dominating performance like we did from Georgia, I mean, it's hard not to imagine possibility where that is the case. Not only was this a dominant performance here for Georgia, but it was a dominant 2 seasons as they won back-to-back national titles. They went 15-1 in their last 16 games. And I can hop on the backs of a lot of people who are saying this. I think Georgia might be the new team to beat in college football over Alabama. It was Alabama for probably 10 years or so. Clemson was in there maybe a few times, getting to that national championship, getting to the college football playoff. Georgia now with 2 wins in a row. They've only lost, 2 or 3 games over the last, over the last, 2 seasons. I mean, it's unbelievable. And this season, undefeated, to blow out a team in the national championship. It's not supposed to be like that, but unless you got such a dominant team like Georgia did these last 2 seasons. Alright, so now let's flip to our next story. And our last story of the day, I said we only got 2 to cover today, 2 that I could find. And this one's extremely wild, pretty unexpected, and it bounced around from everywhere. It shifts us to the MLB. Carlos Correa re-signed with the team that he was initially with before he signed with the Giants and the Mets. But they ultimately turned him down because of a failed physical, having to do with a ankle injury, I believe from it was a long time ago, injury, but they just didn't think that he still didn't have the same potential with that injury, I suppose. That team that he rejoined being the Minnesota Twins. Now he gets back on the club on a 6-year, $200 million contract However, he can get bumped up to $270 million and a 10-year deal if if he can stay healthy and keep playing. Now, that's what the Twins are saying. If he's hurt, they can get rid of him after 6 years. If they want to, they can extend him by paying him $7 million more a year. And my math might have been wrong. Check me on that. But if that ankle is able to be fine, then they can add him on for 4 more years, and his pay will go up as well. So that's kind of a win-win for Correa. He still gets paid even if he is hurt in that 6 years, and if he does well, he gets his pay. If he's able to play, stay healthy, he gets his pay bumped up $270 million and 4 extra years with the team. This deal comes after Correa had agreed to deals with the Giants and the Mets, both for over 10 years. The Giants was, 12 years? Mets was 11. Hundreds of millions of dollars. However, both of those teams, as I mentioned about a minute ago, they both backed out of the signing after concerns with his physical, again with that ankle injury. Correa is returning to the Twins in Minnesota, where he played the 2022 season. He put up just shy of a 300 average at 291, and he also hit 22 homers with 64 RBIs. He was it was an off year in his mind. Obviously a great player with Houston, came over to Minnesota. Good average, but he just wasn't hitting the ball out of the ballpark, wasn't getting extra base hits, couldn't come up clutch when he needed to. So he looks to readjust here, get his brain in the right place, back with Minnesota. So that was the quickest episode of This Week in Sports so far, only about approaching the 7-minute mark. But I think that we covered what needed to be covered, and I hope that you stuck along, enjoyed, and it was another great week. Week 3 down in the books. Still got 2 more to go in January, and this has been episode 3, This Week in Sports. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all next time in week 4.